This film presents the features of the Z.E product and the handover information common to both Fluence Z.E and Kangoo Z.E. The special features of each vehicle are presented in two other sequences. The 400-volt traction battery stores the energy required for the electric motor to operate. Like any battery, it discharges during use and therefore must be recharged regularly. It's not necessary to wait until the reserve level is reached in order to recharge the traction battery. It's essential to consult the driver's handbook in order to be familiar with the recommendations related to charging. The recommended charging mode is using a standard 16-amp lead connected to a specific wall unit called a wall box, or to a public terminal. This mode enables complete recharging in 6 to 8 hours. Charging using a standard charging lead presented here is done on a Renault Fluence Z.E. This type of charging is done in the same manner for a Renault Kangoo Z.E. With the ignition off and opening elements unlocked, take the charging lead from the vehicle's luggage compartment. Connect the end of the lead to the supply source. Open the charging flap and the socket cover. Hold the handle and connect the lead to the vehicle. Ensure that the charging lead clicks in correctly. The hazard warning lights flash 5 times to indicate the start of charging. The charge indicator light illuminates on the instrument panel. A message on the instrument panel indicates the remaining charge time. By locking the vehicle, it's no longer possible to disconnect the lead from the vehicle. To disconnect the socket, unlock the opening elements. Hold the handle, press the button, and while keeping this button pressed, disconnect the charging lead from the vehicle. The charge indicator light goes out on the instrument panel. Close the socket cover and charging flap. Disconnect the lead from the supply source. Store the lead in its storage bag. It is impossible to start the electric motor when the vehicle is charging. The second charging mode uses an occasional use charging lead on a domestic socket. The time required for a complete charge varies from 9 hours to 12 hours. Charging using an occasional use charging lead presented here is done on a Renault Kangoo Z.E. This type of charging is done in the same manner for a Renault Fluence Z.E vehicle. Charging using an occasional use charging lead is done in the same way as charging using the standard charging lead. Never leave the box suspended by the lead. Use the specific attachments to hook it on. Never use an extension piece, multiple socket or adapter because this may cause these components to overheat, which may cause a fire risk. The green, orange and red indicator lights located on the box indicate the charging status and operating status of this recharging mode. It is necessary to refer to the detailed driver's handbook to find out what each means. Regardless of the charging system used, the electrical installation withstanding this charge must always be fitted and verified by a professional, in particular when fitting a wall box. The range of an electric vehicle depends on the charge of the traction battery, but also on several major factors. It is hardly possible to influence the topography of the route taken or external temperature to optimize the range of an electric vehicle. On the other hand, changes can be made to the speed, driving style and use of the heating and air conditioning system. The vehicle's speed has a direct and significant influence on the range. Thus, driving at a very high speed notably reduces the vehicle range. Driving at a constant vehicle speed by striking the right balance between accelerating or decelerating actively contributes to increasing the range. Numerous driving behaviors also come into play, such as limit erratic accelerations, adopt a flexible and fluid driving style and anticipate the traffic, drive gently and smoothly, avoiding high speeds and sudden accelerations. The heating and air conditioning systems take their operating energy from the traction battery. Therefore, a few extra degrees in the winter, perhaps superfluous, will compromise the battery range accordingly when driving. The same is true if selecting a cold temperature setting instead of a temperate setting in the summer. This type of behavior has an influence which can be easily checked on a long journey. In order to optimize the range, it's recommended to use the programmable air conditioning mode as often as possible on Fluence Z.E or the programmable heating mode for Kangoo Z.E. Thus, the passenger compartment temperature setting already obtained will not impact the battery charge level from the start of a trip. Details on how to program this mode are presented in a video which is specific to each vehicle. Another function to increase the range, energy recovery. When you lift your foot off the accelerator pedal during deceleration and even without braking, the electric motor generates an electrical current which is used to recharge the traction battery. Over time, you will learn to generate maximum energy recovery through adapted driving. Important: electric vehicles have more engine braking than petrol or diesel vehicles, which may surprise the drivers of vehicles behind you. Important: when the battery is fully charged, energy recovery does not operate. During the first miles of use, engine braking is therefore reduced. In addition to the charging indicator and information on the trip computer, an indicator on the instrument panel constantly displays the traction battery energy consumption. This is the econometer. When the needle is in the central zone or neutral, this indicates that the electric motor is not consuming any energy. If the needle moves to the left, this indicates energy recovery and therefore that the battery is recharging, even more so when the needle is in the green zone. If the needle is within the first block in the right-hand zone, energy consumption is limited. This is the recommended zone for an increased range. If the needle is in the red zone, this means that significant consumption is not advised over a long period of time. Let's now examine the other special features of the instrument panel which are common to both Fluence Z.E and Kangoo Z.E. The left-hand section incorporates a gauge indicating the amount of energy remaining. When the needle is in the reserve threshold, this indicates that the battery has approximately 12% of charge remaining. The reserve warning light illuminates, accompanied by an audible bleep. When the needle reaches the imminent immobilization threshold, this indicates that the battery charge is less than 6%. The audible signal is repeated every 20 seconds and the reserve warning light flashes. The message "Limited Performance" is then displayed on the instrument panel. Electric motor performance gradually decreases until the vehicle is immobilized. The trip computer has the standard functions but with information related to electrical energy and not fuel. The electrotechnical system warning light signals an electrotechnical fault related to the 400-volt electrical circuit. The blue color of the traction battery temperature warning light indicates that the traction battery temperature is too low. The orange color of the traction battery temperature warning light indicates that the electric motor or traction battery temperature is too high. It is advisable to adopt a more flexible driving style. The charging lead connection light illuminates as soon as the charging lead is connected to the vehicle. The 400-volt electrical circuit is recognized from the orange color wiring and the components identified by the specific icon. It is absolutely prohibited to clean the electric motor compartment, the charging socket, or the traction battery with a high-pressure washer.